So here we are continuing the series of Rahu in all 12 houses in your birth chart. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, share with all your friends and family. All right, let's continue. So let's talk about what Rahu in the first house does. So like people with Rahu in the first house. Now I will talk about all the good things about Rahu in the first house, but that comes later. First, I would talk about what Rahu in the first house does in general, right? So, but then afterwards we will talk about the good side of that as well. Now, what does it do? So people with Rahu in the first house, basically, provided they don't have any other good aspects or conjunctions, so what they are is they are totally lost in their lives. They are the people who don't know of the right and wrong. So what they do is they think of the right as wrong and they think of the wrong as right. So you should be very beware of people, like you don't want to be come across these kind of people in your lives. So what other things that might happen with Rahu in the first house is what they do is they snatch away other people's privileges, they snatch away other people's properties and other people's rights. They snatch away other people's earned credits and their goodwill. So these things can be seen with people who have Rahu in the first house. And then again, for example, think of those people who are working with you in a company, or like in your very work, in the organization that you work in, and let's say they are working with you together on a project, and you did all the hard work and you introduced the new ideas and spent all days and nights to make that project a success for yourself and for the team and for the company. But if you have like Rahu in the first house guy who is in the project team with you, what he will do is he will snatch your ideas and he will take away all your credits. Like people will actually believe that it's not you who did it all the hard work, it's that guy who has Rahu in the first house. It's just crazy. So I mean, it doesn't matter whether they do it privately against you or against anybody. um, Even if they do openly, publicly, they are taking your credits, nobody will say that he did that, or nobody will come to know. Actually, they are very smart at tricking people. So that's what people with Rahu in the first house do. Now they make everyone believe that they are the genius behind the success and the person is not able to prove anything at that time. Now, but all this is very temporarily, because when the right time comes, these people actually run away and hide in their own little shell. They just like they are the first ones who will just run away if the trouble is coming. So like these are the people, when they have Rahu in the first house, they are just like escapists. Then Rahu in the first house people are those like who are generally have like in terms of they call it like psychologist term, they call it narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. So what in psychology is like, every psychologist, they use this term like for those kind of people who want to be treated as the first, who wants to snatch away other people's rights, who think that whatever they did is right, and who are extremists. So these people are seen with Rahu in the first house, and they are completely infatuated with themselves, with their own identity, and they want to be seen the best in the group. And wherever like they sit together, wherever group or company they sit in, they want to be treated as the best of those people. And so people with Rahu in the first house, they can be really very abusive, physically or verbally, if they have no other good aspects or conjunctions. And they also sometimes call names, like when there's fight going on, they will not be scared of physical or verbal fights. But again, when if they feel there's a threat to them, and they're very good at understanding and analyzing the situations at the same time. They're street smart. They know the loopholes and how to get away and how to escape from the situation. But at the same time, the best part is that because they don't know the right and the wrong thing, right? What they're thinking is like, okay, whatever they're doing is good, whatever they're doing is right. And what they do is they make two people fight, and they get the benefit out of it. Like in offices, like you must have seen, like at your work, at your job, there are these people who usually are very good at gaslighting and like you say bad things about others to others. Like what they do is like they will say something to one person against you, and then they will come to you and say something else to you about that other person, and make you two people fight within each other. And then they take the benefit out of that situation. Now, another thing is that they are very, very obsessive about their partner, and after using them, they can go on with their own way. So basically, what they are doing is they're only using their partner to boost their ego, to get that kick for their own ego. So they only completely use their partners. And especially what they do is they try and find the best. They will have the if it's like a Rahu in the first house is a man, he will go and find the most beautiful girl to marry her or be partner with, and then like that's how they try to show that I have the best, right? And then they only use them for their own privileges. And but at the same time, what they do inside, what happening inside them is they are not at all satisfied with their partners. They're not at all satisfied with their spouses, and they always find faults in their spouse and the business partners. And they cheat in partnerships, they cheat in marriages, and the spouse is clueless. And even if the spouse comes to know about it, the spouse cannot prove or say anything about it. And what they do is like they just completely use their spouse, and then they just leave, and then as if they never knew them. When they cut off, they completely cut off. But because remember, Rahu is only the head. It's like the Ketu part is below, is cut off, and the Ketu is always in the 180-degree axis from Rahu. So let's say if Rahu is sitting in the first house, Ketu is sitting in the seventh house of partnerships, of negotiations, of agreements, of marriages, of your spouse. So Ketu is like cut off, and then Rahu doesn't care. So that's how Rahu in the first house, they treat their partners, and they treat their spouses. And but at the same time, what happens is like their spouse and marriage partner, it is like it signifies that with people with Rahu in the first house, their spouse is very spiritual. So that is one thing. Very spiritual spouse, very religious. Like they like to, the spouse likes to be in their own little shell, their own little prayerful mode. So that's how they really don't come to know about Rahu's endeavors and Rahu's stuff. And Rahu keeps it very secret, the things that he's doing. He or she, whoever has Rahu in the first house, those people, like they keep things secret from their spouses. And another thing is with people who have Rahu in the first house and with no other benefic aspect, they actually tend to marry multiple times. Like one marriage is not the thing with Rahu in the first house. They can go on like 1, 2, 3, depending upon the other positions and what other promising aspects and conjunctions are. They marry more than once in their life, and they marry to fulfill their own agenda of life. Once the agenda is fulfilled, they do anything and everything to get out of their marriage, and they won't even remember that they married that person. And their ego feels, actually, as I said, their ego feels bloated by using the agent of seventh house. And that, I mean, the most important person in for the seventh house is your spouse. So that they use the like spouse to like feel they are the best in the society, right? So those are the kind of people with Rahu in the first house, and they have the desire to be known as the best. Wherever they go, they want to be treated as the best, they want to be known as the best. And with people who have Rahu in the first house, it's very, very like crazy thing, because they are the people who have lots of desires, and like too many desires, full of desires. And they want to be look like a king and controller. Like I remember my friend, like one of my friend, she comes to me and say, oh, my husband and all that, he says he has a Rahu in the first house, like her husband has Rahu in the first house, and he says, um, I don't know, I cannot control you. I mean, crazy. They want to control the marriage partner, control everything. And another person I know, he said he had Rahu in the first house, and he said he was actually going to buy a car, and then they were thinking of whether to buy a manual car or an automated automated transmission car. So then the guy is like, well, I want to buy a manual car because I feel more control. So these are the people with Rahu in the first house. They, for everything they do in their life, they want to have control of each and everything in their lives. So so these are the things, like you will see with these kind of people. Now another thing I would say is so from Rahu in the first house, what it does is aspects, like Rahu has 5th and 9th aspect and the 7th aspect. So as I said before, 7th aspect is, if Rahu is in the first house, the 7th aspect is on the 7th house with the 180-degree axis, and the 5th aspect is on the 5th house, and 9th aspect is in the 9th house. So with people with Rahu in the first house, they control their children, because as I said, they want to have control in everything. So from the first house, the fifth house is on the 5th aspect is on the 5th house of children. So they want to have control on their children, their lives, and whatever they do, their ideas and their beliefs, whatever they want to like do everything that will help them control their children and their lives. So similar goes with the Rahu aspecting the 9th house. They also like to make their father and father figures and gurus believe in their own ideas and make them sacrifice for them. So they make their fathers and gurus sacrifice for them in their lives. So they feed on their energies too, and they make others believe and that they are caring for their parents and they are caring for their children, but especially the father. But that is not the reality. They don't care for anyone with people with Rahu in the first house, if they don't have any good other placements. They use their children and their spouse and their father to fulfill their own agenda, and which is only to reach the highest point in their life. Now these are all the kind of, like, you would say, oh my god, people with Rahu in the first house, why all of them, like. But again, as I said before, I'm not saying that people, whoever has Rahu in the first house, is having those kind of traits. Many of these kind of negative traits get suppressed with all the good aspects on Rahu in the first house. And if they have good other placements, or if they have good 9th house, and if they have good 5th house, these things are suppressed, these kind of negative qualities. But then with Rahu in the first house, people, it's very good for some people, for sometimes for themselves. So now here are the good results of Rahu in the first house. So what it does is, as I said, people want to be with Rahu in the first house, want to be recognized as the special and the important person. So what they do is they have such an aura and energy around them, and then they use that energy to be recognized as special people, be recognized as an important person in their own muscular energy, in their own vital energy. and in their own like body energy. So they are actually with their own, they have their own charm at the same time. So they are kind of very ambitious personality, and they have lots of energy, like positive energy. And if they don't, so what they do is like they grab the energy out of their surrounding people. So like if somebody, you are sitting in a room and someone has Rahu in the first house, they will take away all your energy and use it to show that they are the best people, right? And they snatch the energy of the people around them, and that just to make their own aura bigger and brighter. So if you have Rahu in the first house, this is your inherent quality. Like you would be considered as the best in amongst your teammates, amongst your people around. You would be treated as best. Like if you have siblings, you would be treated as the best of them. So then what they do is they like to enjoy the thrill of fascinating people. They are like they are distinctive movements, and then they have the like vital identity, and through their sexual pursuits they like to enjoy and then have thrill out of these things. So then people with Rahu in the first house, they seek privilege via like their important and mesmerizing appearance. So whether or not they are very good looking, but they are still very mesmerizing in their personality. They're very, very fascinating. They have a lot of fascination in their personality. And they want to be disguised as like they would be treated as the best of all. They would be treated as, okay, they are the ones who have innovating personality. They are the first one to bring about a new thing, a new change in life, and in your surroundings. And they are treated as the innovators of new ideas. And there are people who are very good at information technology with Rahu in the first house. They can be seen in the jobs and occupations where like they do IT, information technology, and they are very good at the fields of research, because Rahu is research. So all the things, good things about research and investigation, finding out things, Rahu is very like, it will just enter the places where no one can understand and know, like the hidden stuff. So that is also seen from Rahu. Now then they have the urgent instinct to gain prestige and privileges through their own body identity. I mean, think of people who would just be like, you would say like, oh, they look very innocent on their face. So they use that charm, they use their innocence look to attract people towards them. And they have a desire, very ambitious, very desires, because see, Rahu is all about desires. Like this is, Rahu is the reason why you are born, because Rahu are things which you desired in your past lives, and you want to fulfill those desires, and then the reason of your birth is your desires. So wherever Rahu goes and sits in your birth chart at the time of your birth, that is the desire you want to fulfill in their life, in this life. So if Rahu is sitting in your first house, so that means you want to be looking like a king, very ambitious person. So it's simple, right? And you want to look like a champion if you're a sports person. You want to look like an inventor if you're a scientist. If you want to look as a warrior, the best of warriors, if you are in a team of soldiers, and like for anything, like you want to look like a winner, you want to be the winner. And actually people with Rahu in the first house, they achieve those things in their life. And whether or not they are qualified to achieve those things, they still achieve. Rahu in the first house, especially when Rahu period comes, like Rahu Mahadasha and Rahu Antardasha, those are the periods when they can actually utilize these things, of these qualities of Rahu in their first house. So I mean, as I said, they are able to convince. I mean, if let's say they are they get to apply for a position or a job which they are not even qualified enough for that position, but they still are able to convince the employers that they are good fit for that role. So I mean, Rahu in the first house can take a person to very high positions, very high positions in society, and in their company they get promotions very fast with Rahu in the first house. So now, another thing I would like to say is like they are very street smart people. They know the government and the system's loopholes. Like, you know, very street smart. They know like how to maneuver through the system, like how to do the things that even if they're wrong, they don't look like wrong things. And they're able to trick the courts, and they're able to trick the justice system and win over the legal battles with their enemies. However, you know, with this kind of things, because you know Rahu like is in the first house, it can bring all these things to you, but at the same time it is only for a period of time. That's what they need to understand. This is like a kind of suggestion for people with Rahu in the first house, because when Rahu is trying to tell them here, what it's trying to tell and say, that you use your gut feeling, you use your consciousness, because when Saturn takes over, then Saturn just thrashes these kind of people, left, right, center. So I mean, with all the good things, they have those privileges, they have that, they are born with that, you know, those karmic privileges, that they are going to succeed and exceed, and they are going to be the controller of things, they are going to be the best, treated as the best amongst everyone. But at the same time, if they abuse that position, if they abuse their role, and if they abuse those qualities and the positive side of Rahu in the first house that can take them to the topmost heights in their life, then what happens is, then Saturn, when the Saturn period comes, or if any other, you know, karmic period comes in their life, let's say Sadhisati or anything, then these people are the first ones to get beaten up badly. So for them, and for everybody for that matter, use your instincts, use your gut feeling, because even if Rahu makes you think that okay, this wrong things is, that's okay, it's right, but at the same time it's wrong. And then people with Rahu, as much as they don't know, but they know about it. So because as I said, they're also very street smart, so they know what is right and wrong. Even if they don't know, they want to think, okay, well, I don't know, feels like wrong things right, but at the end they need to, Rahu is trying to tell them, use your free will, use your free will. I have given you all the privileges, but use your free will to do the right. So what basically at the end I would say is, Rahu is basically in the first house, is born to enjoy through their body, through their charisma, through their personality, through their charm and appearance and their social identity. They are born to enjoy through their public persona. They're born to enjoy their wealth, their position, and they're completely indifferent towards like the other people, because the other people's house is the seventh house, and then Rahu is completely indifferent from the Ketu part. So this is all about for people with Rahu in the first house, and watch the next video to see what Rahu does in the second house. So while you're waiting for my next video about Rahu in the second house, if you like this video, subscribe my channel, hit the like button and share with all your friends and family, and see you in the next video. Bye now.